Hello and welcome to Critic Interviews, my interview show where I invite MLP analysts, reviewers, and other such titles, and I ask them questions and they answer them. On my show this time is the reviewer and artist Mad Munchkin. Say hello.
I am very scared and glad to be here. Hi.
Hello. I'm usually nervous about having guests. So
I'm not
anyway,
scary, honest. Well, I hope not anyway.
all right.
I'd also like to say just before we start, it is so awesome. My accent doesn't sound so strange. It's nice to be talking to a Scottish brony. So.
Yeah, I didn't even think there were any Scottish bronies at all. Never mind on YouTube.
I think it took about a year for me to discover other bronies in my area. I
Uh,
thought I was the only one as well. But yeah, anyway.
okay, on to the first question. How did you become a brony? Or, well, yeah, how did you get into the fandom?
I've got a video that I uploaded that briefly discusses that. So I'm going to try and keep this short, but I do have a habit of rambling on. So basically, I got into the show in March 2013, and that was around the same time I actually started doing videos on YouTube as well. But before that, I got into the show because three of my friends had moved away around the exact same time, most of them because they were moving away for work or various other reasons, and I was kind of left on my own. And I'm a major geek, and those my friends that moved away were also into the same things as I was, so I didn't have anyone left that I felt like I could geek out with. So I felt like I had a lot that I couldn't talk about. So I decided to start doing these videos, but I needed to have something else there. I wanted to discover something else that I could talk about as well as what I was already into. So I knew I wanted to talk about, animation and art and all that because that's what I'm passionate about. And I was really into shows growing up, like Batman and X-Men and all these other shows that girls should not be into, apparently, so I'm told. And it was around that time in March 2013 I started seeing all these internet memes in to do with MLP, and that was one of the shows when I was growing up I would not watch because I just didn't like it. It didn't appeal to me. I wasn't into things that back then that were supposed to be for girls because it didn't have the same excitement as Marvel and DC and all that other shows that I was into. So of course I didn't give it a fair chance, the Generation 4 anyway. And I started seeing all this artwork and all these internet memes about it. And it was actually on a YouTube video. Someone was reviewing the show and they were just talking about it. And then they showed some animation from the episode Lesson Zero. And it really appealed to me. So I was like, I have to check this show out now. And the first episode I watched was A Canterlot Wedding. And I think for me, that was the right episode for me to start with because it is a very Disney-esque thing and it is in a two part. So it is basically like watching a feature-length thing. And because it's very musical as well, it hit all the nostalgic notes, things that usually appeal to me. So that's how I got into it from the start. I started with that and then I started from the beginning. And yeah, that's the short and sweet version of it anyway. There was probably more to it than that, but yeah.
I think a lot of people have compared the song in A Canterlot Wedding to some Disney-esque sort of thing, so I can understand the appeal there.
A lot of the themes in that episode have a lot of similarities to like The Little Mermaid, and even though that's definitely not one of my favorite Disney movies, as you can probably see from the review I did of that, it was one of the very first review videos I did, and but there's an awful lot of elements in the show that are very Disney-esque, and that was one of the elements that drew me to it.
Uh, uh, a lot of these questions you've probably answered already in various videos, but I'll ask them anyway.
That's okay.
What is your favorite episode of My Little Pony and why?
My favorite episode is definitely part two of one, and in my Pinkie Pie video where I basically declare that she is the best character in the whole show. That episode to me, it's a very it's a slice of life episode, but it's very psychological, and it deals with slipping into that side of yourself when you think that, oh, no one respects me, no one accepts me for who I am or what I do for them, things like that. And that's something that I struggled with a lot growing up. So not so much now because I've matured a lot, but in that episode, I saw a lot of myself in that. And just really worried that my friends didn't accept me for who I was. And Pinkie Pie being the eccentric one of the show, I related to her the most because out of all the characters, I think I'm most like her. I get really easily excited over things that everyone else thinks is mundane. So in that episode, Party of One, um, you know, she gets really excited with this, her pet alligator. It's his birthday and everything, and you know, all the other characters are like, oh well, it's just an alligator, who really, you know, celebrates a pet's birthday, but they love her so much that they will attend this party, and then she gets all obsessed with the fact that they won't come to this other party, and she thinks that they don't care about her anymore, and it's when she thinks that all of her friends are just being really false. I find that really relatable. I'm not saying that any of my friends have done that, but it's how I felt a lot growing up. Like authenticity from people is very important to me. I don't really like it when people are putting on a show or pretending to be someone else, And with Pinkie Pie, I find her the most authentic one of the whole group of the show, and one of my favorite characters ever invented, admittedly. So that's Party of One is definitely my favorite episode.
Who is your favourite character in the show? It doesn't have to be contained to the main six. Or
Like I just said, I
rather,
mean, like
yeah.
I think Pinkie Pie is the best character, and she is my favorite character. But I do see a lot of myself in other characters, like Twilight. Um, is the next character down out of all the main six that I see a lot of myself in. So if I had to pick a second favorite, because I've already said who my favorite character is,
Yeah.
it would be Twilight, and it's mainly due to the fact that she is very curious about the world around her, especially to do with what she's studying, which is magic. And with me, I study art and animation pretty much 24/7, and I have more books than I can accommodate. So whenever she gets a new book in the show, she geeks out over it, and when the library blew up in the season 4 finale, and she rages over these books that have burned, and it's like if that happened to my books, let's say if my house burned down one day, I would be most devastated about my books. Like it didn't matter like anything else, my computer or anything, all my art equipment, I wouldn't care about that. But my books, I would be devastated over. So I guess it would be a tie between Pinkie Pie and Twilight for me, really.
I think the thing most people look for in a character is definitely relatability. So
Yeah.
uh, for me, it's definitely Fluttershy because the whole shy thing.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, it's either personality traits or interests. Those two characters are definitely more like me, but I have I do kind of find myself drawn toward Applejack as well because she's really, you know, into the outdoors and really hardworking. And I would like to think that I have some of that element in me as well. So, yeah, admirable qualities in all of them, really. But yeah,
All right then. Next question. Uh, what is your opinion on the the uh, oh goodness the brony fandom and the controversy caused by the whole idea that they shouldn't be allowed to watch obviously a show that's marketed towards little girls. What's your take on that?
yeah. Um, I've always been a bit of a rabble when it comes to the things that I'm supposed to watch and what I'm not supposed to watch. I mean, I was brought up in a very strict environment. There were certain things that you were not allowed to watch, and that's healthy. You know, parents are supposed to protect their children from things, and nowadays it is a lot harder to do that. But at the same time, I don't think you should limit yourself to what is supposed to be for your demographic. I think it's really unfair for anyone to tell you what you can and cannot watch, especially when they don't actually explore what is out there for themselves. So, I've always liked, things that weren't meant for my demographic. Like I said, I always tended to veer toward things that were geared toward, you know, when I was little, well, I'm still little, I mean younger.
Mhm.
Like shows that were meant for boys. Like I've said before, I would watch Batman and X-Men and Iron Man and all these other shows, and all of my friends who were girls were into, Barbie and the generation of the My Little Pony that existed then, and Jet and all that kind of stuff. And none of that really appealed to me, and they told me that it was wrong, and that was something that carried on and right through when I was growing up, and even when I was in my early 20s, it was I was still into. I'll give you an example. Like, there was a trailer of a rom-com. I can't remember what it was, and all my friends were really excited about it. And then 5 minutes later, there was a trailer for Tim Burton's Sweeney Todd, and I went crazy because I'm a huge Stephen Sondheim fan and a Tim Burton fan, and it was just the first time the trailer had been shown on TV. And I said, I really want to see that. And one of the girls in the room said, if you want to see that, there's something wrong with you. And I
That's
just
that's
think,
that's that's something that I find quite weird is that it's that everyone's told that watching those kind of things is wrong, but
yes,
no one ever explains why.
exactly. And obviously, there's some people that can handle certain things. Like, some people can handle, like, horrific violence and gore in some of these horror movies, and some people can't. And that's okay, each to their own. But when people tell you you can't watch that, or you shouldn't watch that, or if there's something wrong with you if you watch that, that is wrong. So, but going back to the actual brony community, I was a bit of a Trekkie growing up, so I'm not new to this whole massive fandom. To me, it's not anything new or strange
Yeah,
because I get really excited.
Me being a Whovian, I'm not really.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm well, I am familiar with that kind of thing, really,
hmm
too.
And I find that when people get really obsessive and excited about something they love, that is healthy and should be encouraged. So I love being part of these fandoms. And I did have a bad experience in the Trekkie fandom, but that was because that fandom is based more on the technological side of science fiction writing, whereas this is more to do, it's a lot more fantastical. It's a completely different genre, not to mention it's also animated, so it's two completely different shows, but the actual fandoms have a lot in common because of how much they love this show, and they express it in the same way. Might it be through art, music, writing, or making videos like these? So, um, I think the reaction that people have had against the bronies, it's very old-fashioned, and it's usually from people that it's unfair that people that don't give these things a chance, they just automatically assume that these people are strange because they have the guts to actually show their passion on the outside, and they don't care what people think or say. So, but because there's so many of us as well, it's in a safe environment. There's always someone that will protect you if someone does come at you from a very prejudged attitude. So, but at the same time, there is, if you don't like something, you should have the confidence, sorry, to say so without hurting someone's feelings or insulting their intelligence. So, it's I just think everyone just needs to be a bit more tolerant. Um, yeah, I find it really fascinating. I love it. So yeah, I don't think it's strange at all. I just think it should be embraced, really.
I think in another interview I had, I think it was with the A&Y pony. I think
Mhm.
he said that the brony fandom came around at a time when the internet really needed something to bring people together. So
Yeah,
it's definitely done that.
that's the advantage that this fandom has over the Trekkie community, because the that came around that the internet was just in its infancy. So now, the brony community is very much lives online. I mean, yes, there's the cons, but the majority of bronies actually get in touch with each other. They very rarely like meet other bronies face to face, unless it's at a con or a brony meet. So, um, yeah, it has a huge advantage over how, um, well, it could be seen as a disadvantage as well because it's more exposed, so that other people can see it instantly. Whereas Trekkies didn't really have that as much, unless you watch the documentaries, which didn't shed that fandom in a very good light, admittedly.
Yeah.
So,
I haven't seen any documentaries on it, and well, don't really have much experience with the Star Trek fandom. So,
mhm.
uh, with the recent ending, well, not recent ending of season 4, there's uh, there's obviously going to be a lot of speculation and uh, all that kind of stuff for the upcoming season. Is there anything that you would want to see in season 5?
Um, I would like to see more slice of life episodes with characters we haven't really gotten to know very well over the last few seasons. Like I think Silverquill said he wanted to see more of Shining Armor, and in one of your interview with him, and I would have to agree. I would love to see more of him, but also I wanted to see more Shining Armor and Cadence because the show doesn't really explore um couples in MLP very often. And the only other couple that I can think of in Ponyville anyway is Mr. and Mrs. Cake. And those are two other characters that I really would love to see more of. And we do get a little bit of insight into their life, and I don't know. I think maybe it's just something that I would like to see more of. But um, I would like to see there's some episodes where they do go to other societies and other species with very similar settings. Like, I can't remember the name of the episode. The name of it escapes me, but the buffalo tribe or
Ah, yeah, over a
you
barrel,
know,
yeah.
yeah, that's the one. I'm not good with remembering title names. It's terrible.
Well, sadly,
Um,
I am.
that's a good thing. I wish I could remember them. Um, that I don't know. I would like to see sea ponies come into it eventually, um, or even an episode showing, going back in time and telling the story. Oh, it's probably never going to happen, but telling the story in full detail of sorry, I got a bit of a tickly throat of Celestia and Luna, and I know a lot of fanfics have been written on that, and it's just something I would like to see in in an actual episode, maybe stretched out over two. I don't know, just wishful thinking. It's probably never going to happen, but yeah, more slice of life and more Celestia and Luna stuff. Yeah.
I've been told I need to work on better ways to segue into different questions, but who needs that? Is there a character like Shining Armor or anyone like that you would like to see get more development in the coming seasons that you feel haven't haven't really gotten enough development at all, really.
You know, I would like to see more of Featherweight. That's a, he's definitely a background character, but you know, a lot of the you see the Cutie Mark Crusaders, and you see a lot of their stories, and you see some of the other kids, like Snips and Snails, and you know, all the other kids, and I would like to see an actual. I would like to see more development with Featherweight. That's basically what I'm saying. He just seems like a really fascinating character, and his design for me stands out a lot from the other characters in the show. So I would really love to see more of him.
Yeah, I forget what he looks like.
He's the filly. He's a Pegasus filly, and he was I can't remember the name of the episode. Oh, damn it! When the Cutie Mark Crusaders write in the newspaper, and Featherweight is the photographer.
I'm trying to remember what it was
Pretty
called. It
sure
was
that.
like
Yeah.
Ponyville Confidential or something, I think. But yeah, I get what you mean. That character,
Yeah.
the one with the camera.
Yes.
All right. Uh, uh, there's a big thing with the MLP fandom, and that's shipping. What do you think of that?
Um, that is part of any fandom that I find really strange. Um, but admittedly, it's not something I'm unfamiliar with. So trying to think. I don't know. I just find it really strange. Like if when people ship their OCs with characters in the show, I find that really odd. But when they ship two characters within a show, I find that more acceptable. If that makes sense. I just find it really that is part of the fandom, or well, part of any fandom really that I find kind of strange. I'm not. I don't. I don't really read up on a lot of headcanons, admittedly, and that's just a personal choice, really. But I don't know what to say about that. I just find it really strange.
I find that I don't engage in headcanon a lot because I don't like to think about things, uh, like adopt these headcanons, because more often than not it turns out that that will never happen. So it's just pointless to get an investment in such a thing like that.
With my character Mad Munchkin, when I first created her, she was actually human, and when I was talking about MLP, I redesigned her to be a pony. So she was never originally intended to fit within the canon of the show, and I don't really have a head canon for her. I do obviously have a backstory for her, but it doesn't fit into the MLP canon whatsoever. So it doesn't, for me, a backstory for a character doesn't have to fit into a canon, but as long as it makes sense and the rules of that world that you invent make sense, then good. But I just find it if you're trying to fit it within something that already exists that someone else wrote, I find that very limiting. But that's just my opinion, really.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay, here's another question. If you woke up in Ponyville as your OC, what is the first thing you would do? What would you want to do in that world?
Go to the sofa and quill shop and buy a sofa. He always seems to be out like of one or the other. It just sounds like a really strange shop, sofas and quills. What the heck? I think that's the first thing that Maddie would probably do. Just something really stupid like that. Question the logic of a shop that sells sofas and quills.
It's funny selling out of them because they only sell two things.
Yes.
Uh,
Always sell out of quills or, one or the other. When you need a sofa, they won't have any sofas. When you need a quill, they won't have any quills. It's just really funny to me. It's one of my favorite moments in the show, admittedly.
As I understand, you don't really review or analyze My Little Pony all that often, like most people do. So
Mm-hmm.
this might not be entirely relevant. But
Okay.
what motivates you to review MLP and everything else really? And why did you want to start becoming involved in this reviewing community that the uh, My Little Pony fandom has?
I first decided I wanted to do it because, like most people, you would sit and watch a movie and you would make little comments or add lines in between lines of the characters that are saying, and
Yeah,
you would do that.
I'm always
Yeah,
shushed when I want to make a comment.
yeah, yeah, and um, it was just moments like that. And then one of my friends said, "Oh, you should be a reviewer. You should start making videos like commentaries and put them on YouTube because sometimes what you say is so funny." So I thought I would actually really like to do that. And I watch a lot of reviewers on YouTube and on other websites. The most well-known one is probably Doug Walker, the Nostalgia Critic, or Obscurus Lupa, or Diamanda Hagen, people like that that usually have a specific persona. And I really like that idea of having a character instead of just you talking about it. I really find that really appealing to invent a character that has their own reason behind reviewing things. Might it be, in the case of Doug Walker and a little bit of Damon Hagen, it's a form of torture in a way for them. So seeing their reactions, it's very similar. Although the two characters, Nostalgia Critic and Damon Hagen, are two completely different people. But I just really like that idea. And what motivated me to do it at first was find an identity for myself. And to do that, I had to decide exactly what I wanted to review. And I knew I didn't want to just stick to one show, but I also knew I wanted to review things that I loved. I didn't want to just stick to quote unquote bad movies just for the sake of a few cheap laughs. I wanted to review things that I was passionate about. And when I first started out, I, th- I think the first Disney review was The Little Mermaid, and that's a film I didn't really like. And the next one was um, I can't remember the company that produced it, New Line Cinema, I think, um, with the the Swan Princess, and that is one of the videos that I regret the most in making because it's basically me being the nostalgia critic, just having a clip show and then me just react to it and say everything that's bad about it. And shortly after that, I decided I really didn't want to do that. I didn't want to just be just like a reviewer that I admired. I wanted to find my own identity. And that's when I decided, right, let's just review things that I love. So I made a video about Disney's Hercules, which is a guilty pleasure of mine. Then I decided to start doing MLP as well. And I did one of the very first video I did was a review on MLP, but again, I just wanted to branch out. And I sent that video to Digi, and he sent me a really, really awesome, it was basically like the length of War and Peace, this letter he sent back, telling me what was good about the video, what was bad about it, how to improve, and really encouraged me with it. And that really motivated me to get going with it. And he actually told me to um he was one of the first people to tell me to not just stick to one thing, and I'm really glad that he told me that. So yeah, it was finding the identity, and um that was really important to me, to just try, not deliberately try to be different, but just not to copy someone else and just become a clone of them.
This is the last question. What's your favorite subsection of the MLP community, like the creative side of things? You know, animation, artists, fanfic writers, that kind of thing. What's your favorite part of that?
I Creativity should be encouraged no matter what it is, might it be animation, arts, or writing. So for me, it's definitely with creating um, pony OCs for people like through drawing, or creating ponifications of already existing characters in other shows, might they be live action or not. And I love doing that. I mean, some people find that that's not very creative, but that's just something I enjoy doing. And my I've drawn a few, on my DeviantArt page. There's Batman and Joker ponies and Asterix ponies and and Harley Quinn. Um, and that one is Harley Quinn is with Pinkie Pie in one of the pictures. So um, I like having characters from MLP interact with characters from other shows as ponies. um, like either might they have the same voice actor, or it's just something that I think these characters would get on if they ever encountered each other in real life. You know, I almost said real life. Oh, that's bad. Yeah, I love doing that. Just the thing that probably drew me the most to this show was the fandom's creativity. And obviously, in all my videos, I always talk about creativity. And the quality of that is produced in the fandom is it's it's amazing, and I think a lot of my success with my YouTube channel has a lot to do with that side of the fandom, with people wanting other artists to draw their OC in their style, and that that side of things, I just find it fascinating. And just seeing other interpretations of characters that exist in, they've drawn in other styles and things, and it's great. It's great to explore that. Just find it great fun, really interesting to me.
Anyway, well, that, like I said,
Okay,
that's all the questions I have. Thank you for joining me on the interview show. It's
that's
been a
no
pleasure
problem.
having you.
It's been great fun.
If you would like to go and check out her channel, it will be in the description as always. I'm the Ponyville Critic.
I'm Mad Munchkin.
Thank you for listening.